We were asked how we have changed since college. My video is late, but here it is. Last semester I took a class called Performance Studies, which is about what it means to perform. You can look at it, though this is slightly simplistic, as a scale. On one end is the performing we think of when we hear performing. It is the acting in things like theater and film. On the other side is everyday life. As human beings, we are always performing, often different variations of ourselves depending on who we are talking to. Whether it is obvious, like a job interview or first date, or whether it is just hanging out with friends, with family, by ourselves. We often are our best audiences and worst critics. Along with this, we discuss the performance of gender. While sex is the biological determiner of male or female, or, in some cases, both or neither, gender is the social constructs of masculinity and femininity. Not too long ago, it was taught that these things were fully interconnected. That to be female was to be feminine, and to be male was to be masculine. Nowadays, in the academic community, it is generally accepted that this is entirely false, that these two things have little or nothing to do with each other, that gender exists somewhere on a scale, and that I, Kristen, can be female and exist somewhere here on that scale. And while we are at it, let's throw sexual orientation into the mix. Back when to be female was to be feminine, it was also to be attracted to men. To be male was to be attracted to women. This obviously is not true. These three things operate in entirely different spheres. One can be female, feminine, and attracted to women. One can be male, feminine, and bisexual, heterosexual, homosexual, pansexual, or transsexual, and all the complicated in-betweens of any bit of this. Along with taking the performance studies class, I was also doing some good old-fashioned research on feminist theory, or not quite so old-fashioned. As Michaela mentioned, we don't really have time to read in college, so I listened to various feminist podcasts on my way to class or the grocery store. Here's what I believe. That these three things are a part of, but not even a terribly significant part of one's personhood, which includes all sorts of other junk like hopes, dreams, fears, thoughts, education, and personal history. While I want women to have the same rights as men, for me there's something wrong with that phraseology. I want one's sex to be a non-issue, because it has very little to do with the person you are. That people are much more horribly, awfully complex and a whole lot more beautiful. Sometimes I walk in a crowded space and try to see every single person as this whole huge and largely unexplored world unto themselves, and I feel overwhelmed and inexplicably want to cry. We have to put people in those boxes. We have to judge people. It is simplistic to say we shouldn't. We judge who we want to be friends with, who we want to date. We make judgments to determine how to interact with someone. You will talk differently to a stranger in a suit with crossed arms than a stranger in a flowery dress who is smiling, and that is all a good thing. We put people in boxes in order to successfully navigate our lives. While I hope those boxes are built with things like compassion, respect, open-mindedness, and not based on someone's sex, race, or sexual orientation, they must be built. What I hope is that the individual doesn't feel the need to put themselves in a box, to judge themselves on any real or perceived standard of what it means to be them, and that certainly includes not judging oneself and trying to be what a woman should be or a man should be. But I guess in a way, this is a bit off the topic of feminism, although it is a title I will gladly own. It is more about me trying to work on loving people to the best of my ability. And trying to love myself too, because that is also important. Anyways, that's what I think. Okay, so I just feel like I would be very much amiss if I did not take an opportunity to thank everyone who was involved in my birthday video. It was the sweetest thing ever. It made me cry. I love you all. Thanks especially, obviously Michaela, and then I guess to Bridget too. Thanks, guys. Okay.